So this week we're going to be looking at some of the top scary games of 2016, and everyone else said that they'd meet me here, but I can't see them. Guys?
My name is Teddy. Nice to meet you.
If all horror comes from a fear of the unknown, then being a toddler must be absolutely terrifying. Among the Sleep wants to put this to the test by popping you in the wobbly nugget of a 2-year-old kid, woken in the dead of night and trying to find his talking teddy bear.
What is this place?
Only being a foot tall immediately makes the domestic environment seem alien and really creepy, and only being able to crawl, stumble, or run a few steps before you stack it makes you feel instantly vulnerable, especially when the monsters start to appear.
An all-time classic that would keep you up at night, but in 2016 we're getting a brand new version, and that's Doom. Do you love the idea of hordes of hellish demons coming to rip you apart limb by limb, or using a demon's very own tooth to kill it by driving it through its very own skull? Well, in Doom you can. You'll find yourself on the outskirts of a massive UAC research facility on Mars with one mission: to kill demons. The game will have an incredible atmosphere, leading to jump scares, epic kills, and those moments that are going to make you scream out loud. You get a huge array of weapons to use against a wide variety of different demons, including this freakishly quick one that will not wait around and come bolting down a dark corridor, leaving you needing a mop.
Everyone in Wellington Wells is doing exactly what he or she ought to.
Have you taken your joy today? In We Happy Few, you explore a rather disturbing dystopian future, giving us a look into the creepy British town of Wellington Wells, where every shop is charmingly alliterated and no one is allowed to be unhappy. Ever. Everyone walks around with their white painted faces and false smiles, caused by the drug they're all forced to take: joy. You must pretend you're also taking joy or risk being labelled a downer and brutally killed. Hello, fellow residents with your terrifying faces. I'm totally on drugs. Please don't murder me. Another option is to head into a booth and actually take joy, but then everything goes a bit weird. And that's all without mentioning Uncle Jack. If you followed the Kickstarter campaign, you'll be very familiar with this creepy antagonist who's very good at reading bedtime stories.
Would you like me to read you a bedtime story?
And if you die, you reawaken in a brand new procedurally generated world. Everything is oddly familiar, and there's Uncle Jack again, encouraging everyone to take their joy and take out anyone who doesn't conform.
Join the fun!
Insane asylum? Check. Something terrible has gone wrong? Check. Patients are on the loose and maybe violent psychopaths? Check. The only way to see in the dark is night vision on a camcorder, which also needs constant batteries? Check. Oh, and your character's only defense is to run away, hide, and hope for the best? Check, check, check. Welcome to OUTLAST, the series that puts you in the shoes of investigative reporter Miles Upshur, who's trying to discover the truth behind the Mount Massive Asylum massacre, all while not choosing to escape out of any of the windows given the opportunity. Why, Miles, why? The game aims to show that the most terrifying monsters are born in the human mind, and the story itself is surprisingly interesting, with some great twists that you'll have a few brief, joyous seconds to appreciate before something god-awful terrifying happens and you need to run away ASAP. Outlast 2 is still very much under wraps, but it's set in the same universe and promises to use the same unique breed of horrifying psychological warfare to push players into a place where going mad is the only sane thing to do. Oh goody.
And that's what I'm here for. To make you believe.
Sometimes the scariest things aren't zombies or ghosts or aliens, they're real events that happen to real people in real places. The Town of Light is a game that finds its horror in these real events. It's set in a real Italian mental institution in the first half of the 20th century and takes an up-close and personal look at the treatments and sufferings of people suffering from mental illnesses in that time. As you explore, you'll get a sense of the pain, the confusion and the terror that stalked the halls, but there's no supernatural monkey business here. All the fear comes from things that real humans did to real humans. It's not an easy play, but The Town of Light is racking up great reviews on Steam and is coming to Xbox One later this year. It's a scary game with an important story to tell.
There's no place like home, especially if it contains a scary ghost girl who's trying to kill you. As is the case with many horror games, you wake up in Allison Road with no recollection of who you are, and you must search this creepily empty house to piece together what has happened and where the hell your family is. Sound familiar? Yes, chin up Silent Hills fans, as this is very much a spiritual successor to PT, so lots of gingerly peering through doors into bathrooms. However, Allison Road is set in a British townhouse as opposed to an American suburban home, so this will be uncomfortably familiar for people like me who grew up in one and are all too used to the weird creaks in the dark, wondering if it was just the pipes making that noise or an axe murderer. I'm so glad I moved before seeing this trailer.
Mommy's coming, Callum!
If Five Nights at Freddy's has taught us anything, it's that the kind of mascots you see in kids' restaurants, in TV shows and in theme parks only need a bit of moody lighting and some good sound effects to turn them into jump scare nightmares. The park takes this even further. You play a mum searching a super creepy abandoned theme park for her young son as things start to go off the rails around you. Literally, in some cases.
So you have to find and rescue your missing children. Let's do this! And as you wander around the pitch black darkness, there's every chance you could run into a serial killer who wants to cut you up into tiny little pieces. Nope. In this top-down pixelated nightmare adventure, you have to infiltrate a serial killer's lair, find the children, and get the hell out of there before you and all the little kiddies get added to a list of victims or become rat food. There's often very little light, with you scrabbling around in the dark, relying on the sounds around you to avoid death. And there's also extra tension as the children are rightly terrified and their fear can make your life much harder. Or at least much shorter.
Now you've got to feel sorry for ice hockey goalkeepers. They stand there like heroes getting lumps of solid rubber walloped at their faces, and everyone just keeps thinking they look like merciless movie killer Jason Voorhees. Friday the 13th, the game, is an attempt to bring the terror of the classic horror flicks to life, casting you as either Jason himself or the plucky teenagers he's trying to hunt down. Now that setup reminds me a bit of Evolve's monster versus human conflict, so there should be a good variety of tactics and options to kill or to survive. Jason's already had a pretty good video game cameo in Mortal Kombat X, but we'll see if his own game lives up to his bloody legend.
For those of you who've sunk hours of your life into the Commonwealth, the creepy Far Harbor expansion for Fallout 4 should be on your radar, or at least your Pip-Boy map. All Bethesda have told us so far is that you'll follow a case from Valentine's detective agency, looking for a young woman and a colony of synths on the island of Far Harbor. Little is known about this area other than everything being a tad more feral thanks to higher levels of radiation. Oh great. Oh, and that players will have to deal with a conflict between the synths, the children of Atom, and the townspeople. Yay, I get on so well with the children of Atom. And I mean, the area itself looks so inviting, what with the big skeleton shown in the screenshot, the ominous stormy seas for the game art, alongside the B horror film title font. Where's Dogmeat? I need a hug.
Perception is a new game by the developers of Dead Space and BioShock. You play as Cassie, a blind girl where you can only see through echolocation, which is where every sound creates a visual, from every footstep you make to a dripping tap or a door being blown shut. Oh, and what makes the game creepier than dolls?
Have you come to play?
Which doesn't help, as Perception is filled with jump scares, the atmosphere helping to constantly build a sense of anticipation, as you always find yourself questioning whether you just saw something out of the corner of your eye, and never being able to have that safety net of perfect sight. If you weren't already afraid of the dark, you will be. Perception is currently only available on the PC, but they do have a Kickstarter long-term stretch goal to get it available on the Xbox One, which would be absolutely awesome.
If you're a fan of the comic book version of The Walkers, then you've been pretty well served by Telltale's storytelling games, but if you're Hank Marvin for a bit of bullet to the brain FPS action, then 2013's dodgy The Walking Dead survival instinct will not have helped at all. Overkill's take should do the trick. It's being developed by the team behind co-op bank heist FPS Payday, it's based on the comic book canon, and it's been personally endorsed by Robert Kirkman himself. Now all we've seen so far is a harrowing teaser trailer where a little girl tries to find sanctuary from the horde, but Overkill are being clear that this will be a co-op FPS experience with action, role-playing, survival horror and stealth, and enough walkers to satiate your hunger for brains forever. It looks like it'll shuffle onto Xbox One in 2017, but hopefully we'll see a lot more this year.
Even for you, there's still a way.
The aptly named Layers of Fear will see you peel back the story of a Victorian family who experienced a terrible tragedy and complete the painting of a genius artist's father whose misfortune sees him sink into madness and start to switch out his paint for more organic resources. Yes, I mean blood and skin. Yay! To complete his magnus opus, you'll have to relive the horrors of his life and the atrocities that he committed in that house, which also happen to have a very PT feel to it. Each chapter covers a fresh new breed of terror, and you'll have to get through all 6 before the painting is complete. The game throws continuous jump scares your way, as well as every horror trope you can imagine to great effect. From creepy moving doors, to glitching figures down the hallway, to environments that change while your back is turned. And my favourite of all, creepy little girls, because they're not scary at all. The game is pure horror in its greatest form. Just don't play it with someone that screams easily unless you fancy going deaf.
Are you for real?
I'm sorry, Graeme.
Good news for fans of the original, System Shock 1 is coming to Xbox One in 2016, beautifully remastered. A classic that pretty much set the standard for survival horror and spawned the fabulous BioShock series, System Shock 1 is a perfect mix of tension and immersive world building. The remastered version will see us running around a highly polished Citadel station, tentatively opening doors, dealing with robots, and oh god, what was that in the corner of my eye? Oh, don't worry, it's just a mutant thing shambling towards me. Ah, where's my lead pipe? Well, who would have guessed this would happen when you remove the constraints on an AI giving Shodan zero morals and full control over everything? Oh.
Hey, imagine Scooby-Doo got rebooted for the modern times, with Velma as a world-weary cynic, Daphne as a sastronaut with a sharp tongue, Fred as a bad boy who spent time in prison, and Shaggy as a bit of a stoner.
Yeah, Shaggy was a stoner.
Never, he was just laid back and hungry, like all the time. Anyway, that's how OXENFREE sets itself up. The gang lands on a foggy island with a mysterious past, ready for a weekend of drinking, drugs, and partying, but they discover a supernatural mystery waiting to come out into the open, just like the OXENFREE of the title suggests. Now you can tell OXENFREE is developed by ex-Telltale staff. The dialogue fizzes between the characters, and a large part of the game is actually managing the conversations and relationships between the characters as things get a bit weird.
See, this island's pretty cool, right?
But it's your little handheld radio that really brings the creeps. You use it to manually tune into freaky frequencies, and what you hear can genuinely send chills down your spine, especially if you're wearing headphones.
So there are some scary games coming out this year. What is most terrifying to you? Let us know in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe for way more cool videos for us, and we'll see you next time.